the next class couldn't be much closer when it comes to the championship. It is the AC40 rookies. Just 22 points between the top three after yesterday. We had Marco Holt, the brilliant Marco Holt, 8th in the championship coming into this round. He'd topped his score for the last 4 rounds in a row, and he looks to be doing that once again. He's going to be on the outside of the front row. So, and he was quickest in warm-up as well. So Marco Holt absolutely flying this weekend. But in terms of your championship, Ollie Sims leads the way. And on the grid, Ollie Sims is 7th. Second, and just 9 points back, is Archie Gibbs. And he is pole position. So you can see the difficulties that Ollie Sims is facing this weekend. Luke Fitchett, a good run for him yesterday. He starts from the outside of row 2 and is just 22 points back. So we could see a change in the championship lead with that grid order if it stays as it is in this race. But Ollie Sims will want to come back fighting today. To talk you through the grid, here is Liam Hodgins as the riders get ready to go off on their green flag lap.
So former championship leader and championship contender, the number 3 of Archie Gibbs, leads off from pole position ahead of first-time race winner in yesterday's race. 1 is the number 58 of Marco Holt, and as Chris mentioned, fastest in warm-up this morning. Joshua Williams leads off row number 2 on bike number 78 in third ahead of Luke Fitchett, who pushed Marco Holt all the way in race number 1, picking up the fastest lap of the race and sitting third in the championship. So we've got to keep an eye out on him from 4th on the grid. Harry Payne is next up in 5th ahead of Casey Spadey. Casey Spadey picking up 2 of the last 3 races, so winning 2 of the last 3 races, so keep an eye on him for as well. He's good in these tricky conditions. Ollie Sims, your championship leader, leads off row number 4 and 7th ahead of William Harris. Archie O'Brien in 9th spot, and running at the top 10 is the 141 of Darren Cox. Just outside the top 10 is the Scottish racer from up north, racing around some of the karting circuits I race against, is Jack Dunnaby on bike 641 ahead of Thorley Trevorrow on bike 42 in 12th spot. Arnie Carr in 13th ahead of Noah Guillory and 14th on bike number 41. Next up is going to be Byron Johnson on bike number 273, just out qualifying the number 9 of Bailey Lawrence. Sol Perry will be following that up in 17th ahead of Austin Johnson on bike 327. Max Wilson on bike 33 will be in 19th, and running at the top 20 is Izzy Carter on bike number 46, known as Minnie Rossi on the distinctive pink liveried bike. Callum Maxwell is next up ahead of Chloe Sill, and running out the top 23 runners and riders is Travis Shaw, and to take you through the start of this race is Chris McCarthy.
Right, here we go then. Archie Gibbs on pole position, could be the championship leader at the end of this race. He just needs to get 9 points over Ollie Sims, who starts in 7th. Likewise, Luke Fitchett just 22 points back. He could bring himself right into contention. And when I say right into contention, he could even walk away the championship leader today if all goes well. Right, Archie Gibbs and Marco Holt on the front row. Red lights come on, revs rise. We're off away and racing in the AC40 rookies for race 2. Side by side are Gibbs and Holt. Holt almost tempted to challenge round the outside into the chicane, but Gibbs is going to be the leader as they go down to McRae's for the first time. A nice and clean start for the AC40 rookies, which we want to see. Already fairly spreading out are the 23 riders as we come up towards Iredale's then, and Archie Gibbs it is who leads the way, just 9 points back from Ollie Sims. So we also have to watch for Ollie Sims on the number 73. I did see one of the marshals running there, so I don't know if there was an instant further back, but through the Stuart S's they come and down towards St John's, and Archie Gibbs putting a little bit of distance between himself and Marco Holt in the moment. You could say the top 2 are escaping from the rest of the field actually, because Marco Holt keeping Gibbs fairly honest in the opening stages here. We'll get the order to you then as they come across the line to complete lap number 1, the first of 8 laps in this one. It's Gibbs, Holt, Fitchett, good start from him. He's moved up to third. He's 1.2 seconds back from the top two. Then it's Williams, Payne, Sims is up to sixth, so that's a crucial place made already. Then it's Sperry, Dunnerby, Trevorrow and Noah Gullery. A good recovery from Frawley Trevorrow, who sadly didn't take the start of the race yesterday after problems on the green flag lap.
Ollie Sims just dropped back in position after Casey Spadey made a move into turn number one. So Casey Spadey's on the move. Unfortunately, your championship leader is dropping down the order, and it's a championship rival, Archie Gibbs, who's led the championship so many times this season, seems to be picking up most race wins, but is just falling off or just having a couple of issues that means he doesn't score the full points that we know he can do. Had a bit of an off-colour race yesterday, finishing in fourth, didn't seem to have the pace, the same that Marco Holt and Luke Fitchett did, and Marco Holt is starting to gain that confidence back that he had yesterday. Is closing the gap back down to Archie Gibbs. So after yesterday's first race win, the monkey's off his back and he's now out for more race wins. So the number 58, Marco Holt, is showing a great turn of speed here at Rowrah. Round number 7, race number 2 of the AC40 rookies, lining up a move potentially on Archie Gibbs as they make their way up to Iredale's turn number 5. Late on the brakes up the inside, will he make it stick? No, he doesn't. You can't outbrake Archie Gibbs that well. He is the last of the late breakers. Luke Fitchett is making some moves as well. He's up to third and potentially closing the gap on the top two. So if these two keep scrapping the way they are, then Luke Fitchett will be rubbing his hands and thinking, yes, thank you very much, I'll just nip up behind you, and if you two have a bit of an incident, I'll just take the race lead. So 5 and a bit laps remaining now as they come across the start finish line in the next few moments. Into Paddock Bend they go. Marco Holt not looking up the inside this time round, but as they come across start finish line, we will give you a rundown of the order. So it's Gibbs from Holt, Fitchett next across the line, and he's not gaining on him. He's 2.5 seconds further back. Joshua Williams on bike 78 is up to 4th. Harry Payne in 5th. Marco Holt looking up the inside of Gibbs, not doing it just at the moment. Payne is in 5th, Spadey 6th, Sims in 7th, Dunnerby in 8th. Late on the brakes from Marco Holt potentially at the moment. He's not close enough, but he's going for it anyway, and wow, that would have been audacious and brave if he managed to make it stick. Archie Gibbs so comes to ran a little bit wide just to give him a bit of room, but thankfully both through the corner up at the top end of the circuit. So to make their way down to Stewart's, this is just shaping up very nicely. Quick rundown of the rest of the top 10. Thorley Trevor on 9th, and we've got Cox in 10th.
The confidence from Marco Holt is clear, fastest on track and trying audacious moves is what we want to see. Bad news for Ollie Sims, of course, though. He's back down to 7th, which would give him 9 points compared to 25 points for Archie Gibbs, so he would drop back by about 16 points, so it would be a huge change in the championship. Luke Fitchett also, he is running in 3rd. That would give him 16 points, with Ollie Sims scoring 9, so he'd close the gap significantly and bring it down to just 15 points. So big changes could be made in terms of the championship in this one, and we could see, if it stays as it is, Archie Gibbs going into race number 3 as the championship leader. Lots of changes being made, Liam, in this one.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I want to point out a great overtake by Archie O'Brien on Dannon Cox into Paddy Bend, the final turn. Not an easy corner to make a move. It's very tough trying to flip the bike from left and back over to right again, so it's a line that you sort of take very tight in the way in, so you've got to be very, very tight, and I've got to get up very early in the morning to make a move into that corner. So now that O'Brien is in 10th, he's making the move up towards Thorley Trevorrow in 9th. Cox has now got Harris all over the back of him for 11th position, but just looking at the timing screen, and Archie Gibbs has opened out the advantage to 6/10 of a second with a new fastest lap of the race, a 1:05.85. That is a very quick lap time considering the conditions. The fastest lap yesterday in bone dry and sunny conditions was a 1:0.295, so very, very, very quick conditions indeed from Archie Gibbs, who will be taking the championship lead if the result stays the way it is now. So if the flag were to come out right at the moment, Ollie Sims is now down in 8th position. That is only 8 points, while Archie Gibbs will be picking up 25. He started this race only 9 points further behind. I don't know if I can do quick math. I don't know if I can do as quick maths as that, so that's very good you've managed to figure that one out, Chris.
Yeah, so 8 points. He'd be 8 points back, Ollie Sims, from Archie Gibbs, if it stays as it is.
Yes, very, very well done indeed. I wouldn't have been able to figure that one out at all. But some great scraps going on further down the field. Byron Johnson, Arnie Carr, Noah Guillory, Bailey Lawrence, the likes of them all scrapping over 13th position. So moves getting made round the outside into Stewart's all over the place, and there's only 2 laps remaining of this AC40 Rookies race number 2. So not sure what happened in the last lap to Marco Holt. He's dropped 2.1 seconds further back from Archie Gibbs, so maybe he got tangled up with some back markers.
Yeah, that's probably the case. He had a slow lap. He was 1.6 seconds off his usual pace, if you like. In fact, he was 2 seconds slower than his fastest lap. So Marco Holt definitely going to settle for second here, because we are about to start the last lap of the race. The rider's already in the final sector. Archie Gibbs is coming through Sunny Bend at the moment. Now he's heading up towards the final corner. He is going to be the championship leader if he stays on the bike. He is going to be going into that race 3 with a chance to extend that lead even further, with Ollie Sims, of course, starting down in 7th. Archie Gibbs has done fantastic. Sometimes that is why qualifying is so crucial in the FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, because where you qualify is where you start all 3 races. So a bad qualifying really puts you on the back foot for the entire weekend. And Archie Gibbs now only has to hold on for half a lap to take the championship lead.
Your pole sitter is converting it into the race when Archie Gibbs on bike number 3, the very distinctive bike out there on the circuit. You couldn't miss it if you wanted to. And lots of bright yellow on his bike as well.
Ollie Sims back to 7th.
Ollie Sims has gone back to 7th, so that's going to be a gap of 7 points, I believe. Marco Holt, number 58, in second position. He's now 2.9 seconds further back from your race leader, who approaches Paddock Bend, the final turn around the outside of a back marker. Only one more banking to go for your new championship leader. Archie Gibbs takes race number 2 in the AC40 Rookies. Holds his hand up to punch the air with delight with the race win. Marco Holt is in second, so picking up another podium position. 45 points for him so far this weekend. Luke Fitchett scores a great third spot and will move ever closer to Ollie Sims in the championship for second. He rounds out the podium positions ahead of Joshua Williams and Harry Payne. Casey Spady comes across the line in second. We're waiting for Ollie Sims, who's got Archie O'Brien all over the back of him, and Jack Dunby very close across the line, only thousandths in it. Ollie Sims holds off Jack Dunby and Archie O'Brien for 7th, 8th and 9th. Rounding out the top 10 was Thorley Trevorrow, so Archie O'Brien went on a bit of a charge towards the end of the race, claiming that 9th spot. Thorley Trevorrow rounds out the top 10 ahead of William Harris, Darren Cox in 12th, and then the great scrap for 13th, 14th, and the rest of the field comes across the line now. Arnie Carr takes it ahead of Noah Guillory on bike 41. Sol Perry rounds out the points finishers just ahead of Max Wilson and Bailey Lawrence. And Chris, you can just see how delighted Archie Gibbs is about taking that race win, and of course retaking the championship lead.
Well, he was celebrating more than I've ever seen him celebrate that. I think he knows how crucial that win was. He knows, I think, that he is now the championship leader. A fantastic ride from Archie Gibbs with Ollie Sims in 7th. Ollie Sims scores 9 points. Archie Gibbs scores 25 points. Of course, a 16-point difference. So a 16-point swing there in the championship puts him in the lead by 7 points. Luke Fitchett moves to 15 points behind the championship leader.